Oh man,
Okay.
real quick.
The stream's already on, by the way,
Oh,
just
never
so you
mind
know.
then. I don't know what is crazier today in terms of just the stat line, because like it's obviously crazy that Goff threw 5 picks and he won,
Hmm.
but like Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, man. They're gonna wreck him. They got to figure that out quick. Hey, Marshy.
This tweet that you sent me, I only have one thing to say to it. Remember when the pro-lifers went completely fucking batshit insane? And they were like, I'm not going to vote for Trump because he doesn't want to enact a federal abortion ban. It's like Planned Parenthood is literally worried about going bankrupt because Democrats aren't going to have sex so they won't get pregnant.
Also, there's no way it's a significant portion of women in this country are really not going to have sex out of protest.
Yeah. They think it's like cruel and unusual to go a couple of weeks without it. Just like, man, what a privileged fucking life.
Hmm. All right, so this stream will not be that long because we only have one map, and I don't know if I'm going to do anything after we finish the final map.
Man, I had a
Hey, Drop Top.
viral post big time
Hmm.
because I glommed on to a tweet that Kaguya's top gal posted.
Hmm.
I ended up having the top response to the tweet.
Hmm.
My notifications are just nonstop. I got 46,000 views on this thing. 1,400 likes is a new record for me.
Very nice.
My notifications are just blasting.
Hmm.
And it's funny because people are like, a couple of guys have been giving me shit for making that post, which is really weird to me.
Saucy
And
Susquatch, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow.
they're being like, "Oh, well, you made this post because you were just trying to glom on for attention because you're trying to monetize and everything." I'm like, I don't have a blue check mark, bro. I can't get paid.
Hmm. All right, I've started cleaning, and you can join the map whenever you want to.
All right.
I know what you mean, Drop Top. I have that same reaction. So, you know, I slept through Giants Panthers this morning, but man, very on brand, isn't it?
What?
The game went into overtime. Both teams couldn't stop turning the ball over, and the Giants
Oh,
fumbled on the first play of overtime to lose the game.
oh. Then yes, that is definitely what you would expect from the game between the two worst teams in the NFL.
Hmm. So,
Man,
according to people I trust, the Republican control of the House is now pretty much punched in. They called a race in Colorado and they called another race in Arizona. So,
nice.
218's in.
You love to see it. Get in the corner like this and then hit tab and just look at that glow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is horrifying.
My eyes. So you're like, is it going to be a short stream? And I'm all like, dude, we're going to be at this until 1.
I'm not so sure.
Jesus. Yeah, I know. I'm just exaggerating too.
I mean, it's not
But
a bad thing, right? We want to get a proper stream out of this map. And yes, this is Shrek DLC. Marshy. They do crossover DLCs maybe once a year, once every couple years. But yeah, so I finally logged into that old account to the other account.
nice.
Changed the name of the chat. So I went through the NFL board Discord's politics chat during the election, and it was pretty great. Although there were some people there I did not recognize.
Was Rabbit still there?
Oh yeah, and Rabbit was taking a big fucking victory lap that whole night.
You'll love to see it. I love hearing that.
Because I guess people were drinking the Ann Seltzer copium. And then it ends up being 16 points off. He was dunking on people who thought Kamala was a good candidate. You know, he just pretty much spent the whole night doing that.
I swear to God, bro, I truly do not understand it. How do they keep following the COPE polls? Because even if you want to sit there and be like, well, to be fair, Biden won in 2020. That was the third closest election in the history of the country. And
Yeah,
you
the
have
polls
to
were way
realize
off in
it.
2020.
Right. The polls were way off. It is the only election in the history of the country where the bellwether counties accounted for shit. Biden won with 8% of the bellwether counties, and no one has ever won with less than 88% of the bellwether counties. Except for Biden. It's the third closest election in American history, even though he gets 81 million votes. Polls were catastrophically wrong. And you're going to sit there and believe that this time's going to be different? Like, the polls are going to be dead on, so Iowa is in play now because one person who is an incredibly incompetent hack said so. That's just baffling to me. So, when they get devastated over that whole thing, it's like, this is exactly what you deserve. How could you possibly think anything other than this was going to happen? Especially, I loved reading that fucking, when Moogie was posting the screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all like, hey, I just want to say it. I don't think that non-whites are willing to vote for a woman. And then Ham just had a meltdown. He's all like, look at all that. Look at the broad union support that she had. It's all like the Teamsters refused to endorse her. That hasn't happened in 40 years. Like,
I mean, it sounds like something that a paid DNC shill would say, right? Like that
right,
whole stump speech he gave, it sounds like the marching orders you probably get when you agree to be a social media influencer for the Dems.
right. I'm just sitting there like, my boy, I hope they're paying you for this. My God. It's wild because, like, I feel like he should know better because we've talked about, like, we know enough about, his personal life to be like, enough people where you should have been, had your finger on the pulse.
I mean, he lives in
The way that
Broward
he had this
County. He lives in Broward County.
right, which, fair enough that it's a deep blue part of Florida and all this, but he knows a lot of people who work in trades who are Trump supporters, including his family. So I'm sitting there like, how does this keep taking you by surprise?
Oh yeah, yeah. There were unions that definitely supported Kamala, but it was very odd that the Teamster Union didn't. And most Democrats get all the
Right.
union support, right? So the fact that she got a
Yeah,
below average
and
amount of it was notable.
that's the whole reason that I brought it up, because the Teamsters are one of the largest and most influential unions on the planet. Not getting their endorsement for the first time in 40 years is pretty notable. Number one. Number two, I know this from being a guy who was in a labor union. Union leadership is Democrat, union workers are not. So when you don't get the endorsement of a union, leadership themselves who do not like you, because they are Democrats, for that to be said is very, very notable.
Hmm.
And the Teamsters weren't the only ones. So yeah, she did have support of some unions, not all of them, and very notably not the Teamsters. So when I was reading that part, I was like, what the fuck? Uh it's kind of funny how just doing one thing can just like make you feel so much better.
Hmm.
Like I had well, I know you don't really know what they are, or at the very least you don't get them, even if you do know what they are. Tonsil stones, which I suffer from every now and again.
Okay.
And I thought I had one all day long when I was at work, and it was just bugging the shit out of me. Like
Hmm.
the minute I get home, the first thing I do is go in the bathroom with a flashlight and a Q-tip,
Hmm.
and I got it out, and the thing was massive, and I just instantly feel like
Hmm.
5 years younger. My God, I feel so much better.
I think I get that. Also, it looks like there might be some momentum behind Rick Scott actually becoming speaker, which is crazy because he wasn't even really considered a candidate until recently, but there's been a big
Yeah.
push.
Well, yeah, obviously Trump has this incredible mandate, but what people need to be paying attention to, and when I say this specifically, I mean the senators in the Senate, as they're doing this secret vote to be like, okay, who's going to be the new majority leader? Well, two out of the three guys are just going to be puppets for Mitch,
Hmm.
because Mitch is forced to step down based off of his age concerns because of how bad that was, the thing that happened with him.
Hmm.
But he still wants to run the show. He doesn't want to resign. He's just forced to. So he's like, okay, you guys will be my puppet. And it's like, well, the guy doesn't actually have any authority. He's just the power behind the throne. And the fact that he had to step down over the concerns with his age should go to show you that the guy's not long for this world, and letting him bully you like that is incredibly short-sighted. So, like, okay, should probably side with the guy who, has a clear mandate and everybody loves him, and we know where our bread is buttered, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, yeah, all the Trump campaign has to do is just sit there and be like, well, the people really want Rick Scott, and of course, we want Rick Scott. So if you don't give us Rick Scott, there's going to be hell to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, honestly, there's so many different reasons why it's turning out that losing in 2020 was actually not the worst thing in the world and is really kind of working out for us. So you know what? Maybe it was a good thing that people like Austin, who I'm assuming is in the chat, voted for Biden. It's not like, hey man, good work, you helped us out. Because Trump was the big time outsider, even though he had a great mandate in 2016 because he won, and we had a whole lot of control. Um, a lot of the Republicans were still snakes in the grass. They were still rhinos. They were still fakes and cheats and pieces of shit and all this. And over these last 4 years after Trump lost, what you've had is a lot of neocons that stabbed him in the back who thought, okay, he's done. It's back to business as usual. They tried doing that and they were forced out. They successfully got primaried out. They were successfully sent into early retirement. The message had clearly been sent. This is the Republican Party now, not what you're trying to do. And you could try and sit there and threaten them in 2016 with, "Hey, I'm the president now. You better do what I want." But they're not going to listen because they don't know yet just how bad it's really going to be. But then, you know, even these last 4 years, when he wasn't president, when he had allegedly lost the election, but people took their revenge anyway in 2020, 2022, and 2024, and they were just steadily getting rid of these pieces of shit neocons to the point where, like you said, the Republicans that had voted to impeach Trump in the House, every single one of them is gone now.
Right.
So it's like the message is extremely clear now that if you oppose him, you're cooked. And it sinks in a way that it wouldn't in 2016.
You would hope so.
Yeah. Because like Mike Pence is a good example, with his horrifically awful catastrophe of a campaign when he ran in the primaries, and it was just humiliatingly bad. He really thought that by going full neocon and just hanging Trump out to dry, he was actually going to become the future of the Republican Party, and his career is done. He is finished in politics.
The irony is his political career was already on life support in Indiana. Like he was in danger of potentially losing re-election. So he
Yeah,
decided to kind of throw up a Hail Mary and hitch himself to Trump, and it worked for 4 years until it didn't.
right. Life's really funny. Because, man, when they stole 2020, I really thought that was like the end of the world. And these last 4 years have really been awful. But I'm just filled with so much hope right now in a way that I'm sitting there like, I think it really was for the best.
I cannot wait for the book somebody writes about the Harris campaign and the Biden campaign before her. I don't read a lot of books anymore because I just don't have time. But that is a book I would probably read because I read Hillary Clinton's book after she lost.
Yeah, all these different leaks coming out of like, the stuff people are already saying. It's like, holy shit, I can't wait for that book.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be so good.
Hopefully, we get at least one written by a campaign worker because Kamala might try to write her own to try to, seize the narrative Or
Yeah.
some ass kisser, some Biden ass kisser might write it to try to get in front of anything negative. But if it's actually true that they had Trump winning 400 electoral votes and still didn't make Biden drop out, that's an all-timer.
Yeah, for sure. Imagine being the Democrat responsible for flipping New York. Because, like, man, it's already bad now in terms of how obvious it's become for so many people that they cheated in 2020 with everything that's been happening. But imagine Trump blows out Biden so hard. First of all, that it's the rematch. That it's not against Kamala, so you can't cope. It actually is the rematch against Biden. And the blowout is so intense that not only does Trump come in with a landslide victory in the popular vote, he actually flips so many states that were so deep safe blue. Because, like, if he flips New York, then California's within 5. Like, holy shit.
I remember the day after the 2016 election, a lot of liberals on then Twitter were talking about how no matter what I thought about Obama's 8 years as president, the fact that it's being immediately followed by Trump like this makes him clearly a failure. Like,
Yes.
Even if we may have liked some of the things that he did, the fact that that is immediately getting followed by Trump makes him ultimately a failure at what he was trying to do. He was
Right.
trying to reform American politics, and clearly it reformed the exact opposite way that he intended.
Yeah, and I love how just like Democrats are so clearly learning all of the wrong lessons here.
But like,
Oh, you'll
given
love to see
that,
it.
Joe Biden now has to be considered a failed president, right? Because his whole thing was to bring back
Yes.
normalcy after Trump. Well, now he's getting followed by Trump, so clearly he failed.
Right. Well, not only that, but like, a lot of people who have been trying to take the effort to talk about, okay, well, what did Biden actually accomplish? Because people have been bringing up exactly what you said, and a lot of lefties have been, blackpilling, talking about, well, then what the hell was the point of Biden even winning? Like, what did he actually do? So then they say stuff like, well, the CHIPS Act. And it's like, okay, do any of you actually think that that's going to still be around by the end of Trump's term?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. They're all going in a giant blender.
Well, Saucy, I mean, here's the thing. Kamala Harris, the candidate, is very far left, but Kamala Harris, the campaign, was moderate. And I think that some people had one view of her and some people had the other view of her, because when she was in the Senate, she had the most far left voting record of any senator at that time. And then she's campaigning for president, trying to act like she's, to the left of Bernie. And then 4 years later, she tries to run for president again as a moderate. And I think part of the problem is that, a lot of people don't believe that because they remember.
Yeah, they've got this pesky little thing called a memory. People kept trying to ask her all these questions like, well, what about when you said the exact opposite of 4 years ago? And then she'd start laughing
Mm-hmm.
and just wouldn't respond. What I have been loving is the discussion people have been having, where folks have been talking about how much money she spent on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking when they put Harris Waltz on the Las Vegas Dome thing, that cost him $450,000 a day.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And for what? Not only did she not win Nevada, but she fucking lost Clark County.
Nevada is ultimately not going to be that close.
Right. So like losing Clark County, where the fucking dome is at, it's all like, okay, so the only thing I can conclude here is that this had the opposite effect. Putting this up for so long actually made people like, I'm gonna vote against that bitch just for making me fucking look at that eyesore. Like, oh my god. And that the only thing I keep thinking of every time, how much money she spent, I just remember Hillary when she was trying to make Trump sound like a failed businessman. And she goes, what kind of genius loses $1 billion? You love to see it.
It really does. It really does confuse me. Why
Oh,
should you ever
but
need to pay? Okay, go ahead.
before you finish with your thought, I wanted to remind you. I just remembered they released a fall, like autumn seasonal pack. In addition to this, that one is free for everybody,
Oh,
like the Christmas thing. It
okay,
might be only one other map
okay,
because that was the case too with the summer stuff. But there's at least one other thing we could do
okay. That sounds
after
good
this.
to me.
So anyway, what were you gonna say?
What was I gonna say? Shoot, it'll come back to me in a little bit. Whatever.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there, but I was
Mm-hmm,
like, oh crap, I just remembered and I didn't want to.
mm-hmm. It'll come back to me later.
It's all right. Well, I was talking about how much money she spent, the iStore in Vegas, what kind of genius loses $1 billion, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay. It was. I really don't understand why someone like Oprah needs to get paid $1 million to endorse Kamala. Like she's worth $5 billion, and shouldn't she be willing to do it because she believes in it? Like
I
for
I
free?
have I have my own theory about it because this kind of thing happens a lot, not only in politics but just like power dynamics in general. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about getting her to do the endorsement or anything like that. Oprah was testing to see how desperate she was. Because you're exactly correct. Why would Oprah need $1 million to do this endorsement? Because if Oprah needs to be paid to do the endorsement, $1 million isn't enough. And if you're going to give Oprah $1 million to do the endorsement, like why? It's not that big of a deal. And shouldn't she want to do it anyway because of her own politics and all this other kind of shit? So it's one of those things of like, that's what I think it was. Is Oprah asked it, she says, "Okay, I'll do this if you pay me $1 million." And Harris goes, "Deal!" And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
you're desperate as fuck. So at that point, you have advance warning that she's going to lose. So now you have a couple of months to plan what you're going to do when Trump's in office again.
Like if you were a celebrity, somebody with clout who could influence people, and you had a politician that you liked, that you wanted to help win, wouldn't you endorse them for free? Like I feel like I would.
It depends on how safe I feel about making the endorsement. In Oprah's case, it wouldn't hurt her at all.
Mm-hmm.
So in this hypothetical I ask, is it like Oprah, where if I make this endorsement of this candidate that I really believe in, it does not hurt my brand uh, or my relationship with my consumer base at all.
Yeah, let's say it's
If that's
like
the
the
case,
Oprah example.
then yeah, without a second thought, because it's something that I personally believe in. It doesn't harm me at all. Yeah, I would
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I'd do it for free. So that's why I sit there and say it's like it couldn't be about the money. Because if Oprah needed to be paid for that endorsement, $1 million isn't enough.
Right.
Because if Trump walked up to her and asked her to endorse him, and straight up said, "I'll pay you money in a bribe for you to endorse me," and she was actually willing to do it, she'd asked for a lot more than $1 million.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. Like, do you think Aiden Ross had to get paid any money to endorse Donald Trump? Probably not.
Of course not, because he was making a shitload of money by just having him on the show.
Hmm.
Same with Joe. Like, and at the end of the day, Trump effectively did pay those guys for their endorsement, but he paid them with other people's money.
Hmm.
That's what's so incredible about this guy. He just can't stop winning. Like, he paid them by being like, hey, if I'm on, you won't have to pay me a dime to be on. But this is going to be record breaking for your show. It'll be your highest viewed show ever. And you're going to gain a ton of new viewers for this.
Hmm.
And the ad revenue alone off of this episode is going to it's going to be doing huge numbers for you.
Hmm.
Like I am sure Joe at this point is like, holy fuck, I wish I could interview Trump every single week.
That'd actually
Oh
be
my
really
god.
interesting if throughout his presidency he just kept doing Rogan every week.
Yeah, instead of fireside chats, fucking Jamie pull that up.
Hmm.
Oh man.
I mean, eventually they'd talk about gorilla shit, right?
If you, that should be the next episode. That should be the victory episode. Just be like, all right, guys, I'm on with President-elect Donald J. Trump. Today, we're just the entire episode. We're just going to talk about gorillas. So they told me that you had the Gorilla Channel. That's right, Joe. I'm going to be bringing it to every American. We got so many channels these days, Joe, but we don't have a single channel that's about only gorillas. Why is that? Oh my god, I'm so happy.
Power.
Exactly. So, man, I'm really sorry to have to break your guys' hearts, but I know the Rams are going to win tomorrow.
Probably. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the unfortunate thing about these cross conference games. You know, is that you only got to farm Miami once. Then, unfortunately, other guys in your division get to farm Miami too.
Right.
Frank Vogel, the uncontested layup. Fear.
Well, at least Travis Kelsey was able to get one win today. Our one win
Oh
this
man,
week.
exactly. I man, I really wonder, like, what. There's no doubt at this point that his relationship with Taylor is actually legitimate. Because everyone was like, they would break up by now to do, big drama thing and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
fucking like he having endorsed Kamala, like the depression's got to be fierce right now. So if she was gonna, I feel like now would absolutely be the time for her to be splitting up with him, and they're fucking still together. Now I'm just sitting there like, okay, I think it's actually legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So the funniest thing ever actually is the opportunity to happen right now. What if Kelsey actually knocks her up? Because that's, a number of folks, myself included, have been thinking about it for a while, being like, if Tay Tay actually gets knocked up by Travis Kelsey here,
Mm-hmm.
this could be like the progenitor event that leads to a new baby boom.
Yeah,
And so like
there's
now
something
we've
to be
got
said
Trump.
there.
It's like now we've got Trump in office. When the Chiefs win the Super Bowl again and three-peat this year, Travis should go to the White House and talk with Trump. And Trump is going to corner him and talk to him alone. And he's all like, "Look, you've got to do it. You got to do it for the country. Got to knock that girl up. We need to get these birth rates up. It's going to lead to a new baby boom. He'll be the father of a whole generation of Americans, Travis."
Well, can that overcome the fact that all these women are going on a sex strike, apparently?
Yes, because they will never last at all. My God.
And yeah, on election night, fucking Shred was just like, I really thought January 6th would end this. I didn't think he could possibly win after, like, you're supposed to have your ear to the ground a little bit better on these things, guys, and realize that the median voter didn't even know what January 6th was.
Right.
It's like that great quote. They were doing focus group testing, and they would ask people, do you think Donald Trump is an authoritarian? And the most common response they got was, what's an authoritarian? Like, this stuff really doesn't matter to people.
Exactly. They don't fucking care. I mean, the people who care are also going to be the people who fuck with you. They're going to be the people who voted for Trump, but then say they won't respect the authority of a Trump presidency. I
Mm-hmm.
voted for him, but if he wins, it's not legitimate. Oh man.
Maybe Mitt Romney voted for him and then said, I won't recognize him as president.
They told him he's not allowed to write in his wife's name again. Oh, do you know why isn't Romney a senator? Did he lose in the primary?
No, he chose not to run. If he had run, he definitely would have won.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he announced a couple years ago he wasn't running for re-election, and he did not. Thoughts on Russ's game today? I mean, he completed half his passes and had less than 200 yards of offense, but he's on such a remarkably good team that was able to win games with fucking Justin Fields that they can still win a game even with him doing that.
Yeah. This week across the entire NFL was actually really, really amazing
Mm-hmm.
at showing that a lot of teams are so good they don't need the QB to really do anything in order to win. And it's funny because this is essentially 9/11 for teams that have paid their quarterbacks a shitload of money already. Because they're seeing this and they're like, dude, holy fuck, like we gave our quarterback $500 million and these teams are winning their QBs basically. It's all like the Lions the Lions paid Goff a shitload of money, but the rest of their team is still so good that they can win with him throwing 5 picks.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment for sure. And this is without
So
Aiden
like
Hutchinson.
right. So like imagine what would happen if they weren't paying golf $500 million. They'd be even better. So, the first GM who realizes that and is like, oh my God, what have I done? I don't need to pay these guys that much fucking money. Then he's going to have the keys to the kingdom at that point. Oh my God, brutal. Titan just posted in the basketball channel something horrifying. After firing Griffin in January, Horst again lost out on his preferred candidate. He reportedly wanted Kenny Atkinson to fill the role, but it sounded like ownership, led by new owner Jimmy Haslam, wanted Doc Rivers.
Oh, well, that's certainly a name that it seems like every single team in the league wants to have coaching their team at least once during his life.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So yeah, the Bucks are screwed because their owner's a dingus, and not only is he the one who's responsible for all this retardation that happened, the fucking GM got overridden so that this guy could hire Glenn, which means Glenn's here to stay. Giannis is gone.
Where does he go, though?
The betting markets have the most likely team he ends up on is Miami.
And you kind of feel like that can't be done because of the right?
Not in a million years. Not in a million. Yeah, no way. Because first of all, we've been burned too many times. I'm never going to believe it until it happens. But just money wise, the Bucks would never take the people we'd have to send in order to make the contracts work. Because we cannot try to compete by making a trade if the trade involves us having to trade Bam. We can't compete.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of teams demand Bam because he's the best piece that we have going forward. So it's like, look, Jimmy's an expiring, so we're going to have a lot of open salary pretty soon. But Hero's the guy that we've got to dump. But then everyone's like, well, if I'm trading you my guy, I want to have Bam. It's like, well, then that's just a non-starter. We can't get rid of him. It's like asking the Cavaliers in 2009, if they're trying to make some big trade, and it's like, okay, what about LeBron? Could you give us LeBron? It's like, you fucking stupid. No.
I'm worried he ends up on like the Spurs or something, and then we just get freak off games between Giannis and Wembayama.
Yeah, that would suck.
And suddenly Popovich feels a hell of a lot better. He's like Kaiser Soze at the end of The Usual Suspects. He's faking heart problems because his team sucks.
He's just basically. It really is tragic because I'm sitting here like he is 100% the reason that this team cannot get it together right now. There's a lot of talent on that team. This is a playoff team right now.
man.
and the excuse of Spurs fans, we're still tanking, and I'm like, okay, so you're just gonna tank right on through until Wembanyama leaves in free agency, right? You're just still tanking. Good plan.
So, um, Moogle lives
Yeah.
in what I suspect might be the bluest county in the entire country. The county that he lives in went for Harris 82 to 17. I did not know it was that bad, but I was talking with him earlier today, and he lives in a county that went for Harris 82, Trump 17.
Damn.
I haven't been able to look it up yet, but I feel like that is probably the strongest blue county in the country this election.
It may be. I was shown this thing. One of the islands in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the smallest. It's got less than 100 people on the island. The only people who are allowed on the island at all are members of the Hawaiian royal family
Mm-hmm.
and the United States military, but they have to have authorization to land from the commander at Pearl Harbor. And for some inexplicable reason, that island with a population of less than 100 people
Mm-hmm.
just always votes Republican, and every single person on the island votes Republican. So in the 2020 election, they had like 43 people voted, and all 43 were for Trump. So a lot of people are like, hey, if you were planning on vacationing in Hawaii, don't go here because the entire island is filled with Trump supporters.
Yeah. Endless white boy summer.
Exactly. Oh, man. And I thought that was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to bring that up because if you continued saying, I wonder what the most red county in the
Mm-hmm.
in the country ended up being. It's like, well, let me tell you. Apparently, the island's been like that since Goldwater, where they're just 100% Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I just reminded myself by saying Goldwater's name. I'm gonna sit there and be like, "What happened to honorable Republicans?" It's like you guys literally called fucking Barry Goldwater a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me that shit.
Well, I think we all know better than to fall for that garbage right now, anyway. I think
Of
most
course,
people have kind of figured this out. They miss
of
winning.
course,
That's the only difference here.
exactly.
Dude, fucking Steven, the way he said it was so funny to me. He's like, I really hate to say it, but it looks like non-white people refuse to vote for a woman. It's like, what do you mean you hate to say it? It's just like a fucking either it is or it isn't. Like you're a fucking white guy. It doesn't even reflect on you.
Yeah. Oh man. It's hilarious.
Because, I think Steven is basically a quote unquote centrist that actually agrees with the left on like 85% of stuff, but tries
Yeah,
to bill themselves as a centrist for
many
one
such
reason or
cases.
another.
Yeah.
So the fact that he would say it like that, like he's so afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, but he still feels the need to say it. I don't know. There was something about the way he worded that was really funny to me.
It's funny to me too. And yeah, I agree. It's like why would it bother you? Just say it. Just be like, according to these exit polls, non-whites don't want to vote for a woman candidate. So considering that you won in 2020 when you didn't run a woman, well,
hmm
maybe there's something to that, and you don't run a woman ever again. But yeah, they're terrified of saying that shit out loud because they're like, oh God, if we acknowledge that the tenuous coalition is exactly as fragile as this implies, the whole thing may fall apart.
Also, most minorities swung towards Trump from 2016 to 2020. So I don't even know if that's totally true or not. It might be true. But yeah, a lot of people don't want a woman leader. That's how you get paganism, right?
Exactly.
It's funny, all these people screaming on like X for a recount or something. In order
Mhm.
for there to be a recount to be even possibly requested, the race has to be within like either 1 point or half a point, depending on the state, I think. So, if I'm looking at this correctly, I think the only state she can actually ask for a recount in is Wisconsin, if I'm right. So it's like, she can't even ask for a recount if she wanted one, right?
Not only that, but let's say she actually flipped Wisconsin from a recount. Only worth 10 electoral votes, so she
Right.
would still lose.
Which is why it's not worth it to
Um,
do, yeah.
Not only does she still lose, but Trump still has over 300 electoral votes.
hmm
It's like, well, congratulations, you didn't get swept. So I mean, that's the moral victory that the Yankees went with, right?
Right.
Where's
You know,
George
now
Costanza when you need him?
now that I think about it, the Dodgers beating the Yankees in the World Series was a bad omen for the election because Trump's from
Yeah,
New York and she's, the senator from California. That just occurred to me, but hmm, obviously it's just for fun now.
yeah.
I think it's very fitting that the Redskins rule, remember? The old Redskins rule with presidential elections?
No, I don't. What's it about?
For about, I want to say, 50 years, the results of the presidential election would always be predicted by the Redskins' most recent game before Election Day. If they won, the incumbent party would stay, and if they lost, the incumbent party would lose. And
How
for,
about
I
that?
think, from 1960 all the way through 2008, it came true every time. And then in 2012, it finally stopped. And I don't know if it's been right once since then, but it just occurred to me now that they're no longer called the Redskins, it kind of is appropriate that the Redskins rule has now lost its mojo, right?
Yes. You know what's even better is that they should change the name back to the Redskins to bring back the Redskin rule. Because I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? The Redskins are actually our team. Because when I was singing Hail to the Redskins, I realized something. In the chorus, goes Hail to the Redskins. And this is the important part. Hail victory. Victory in German.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So I was like, there we go.
Okay, I see where that was going. Okay. Well, you're not wrong.
Exactly. I'm like, bring the fucking name back. To be fair though, because they're very lazy and unoriginal.
Hmm.
Even though they changed the name to Commanders, they still do the exact same song. The lyrics are exactly the same. They just changed Redskins to Commanders.
Hmm.
They can still be our song.
Right. Didn't Trump do shockingly well in Massachusetts, big country? I seem to remember that from election night, but you can only spend a few minutes on something like that because he still has no chance of flipping it. It's just kind of
He
interesting to look at.
Well, Massachusetts, every single county in Massachusetts has voted Democrat for quite some time.
Hmm.
Trump very nearly flipped a county in Massachusetts. There was a county in Massachusetts, he lost it by a couple decimals
Mm.
of a percentage point. It was like 49-49 and then like point 0.3 to point 0.2 or some shit.
Mm. I think he
Real
flipped a
close.
county in Rhode Island, which was also considered to be relatively undoable. All right, I gotta take a leak, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. So
So,
I can
um,
go ahead. I'm just opening something.
yeah, no problem. So, I looked it up. This is the county in Massachusetts that Trump almost flipped.
Hmm.
It's extremely close. There was a total of 270,000 votes counted in Bristol County, Massachusetts. 270,000 votes. Kamala won by 250.
Mm.
250 votes. So Kamala got 49.0% of the vote in Bristol County. Trump got 48.9%.
Yeah. Supposedly, a lot of people from Massachusetts have moved to like places like Delaware, New Hampshire. The interesting thing is, Democrats' performance dipped in New Hampshire this time too. So maybe these guys didn't transplant so much as they just changed their voting patterns.
There there are lots of valid explanations, but this is the thing: is that people are never going to consider just the easiest explanations, which is like you said. Maybe they just vote different now.
Hmm. I guess they've already said that Kushner's not going to be part of the cabinet this time as well, so
Right.
it does feel like it's going to be at least a little different.
He actually beat the Wolves tonight
Hmm.
because Anthony Edwards played like absolute shit.
Oh, Did you like the Ava story that I sent you with the giant blender? You may have not seen it. Maybe I didn't even send it to you. It's possible I forgot to send it to you.
Hold on, let me see here. I think you did send it, but I forgot to read it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm scrolling up. Okay, yeah, I found it.
Okay.
I'll read it in a second. Just so many things happened right after that. Did you see the picture I sent you of Benito Mussolini when he was young?
Yeah.
He doesn't look European at all, man. Fuck. All right, let's see here. Dressed in an overly patriotic suit. What is that even? Oh, man. Let's call them undesirables. A giant blender. Shinji says this is what I signed up for. Isn't he like 12?
What did you sign up for exactly?
The team watches as the blender turns on with a cheerful jingle playing in the background. Everyone in the command center claps, except for Shinji, who looks like he might cry. Oh, man. Oh, man. Narrator missed an incredible opportunity. This, in this brave new world where the lines between right and wrong blur into oblivion. It should have said blend into oblivion.
So a lot of people have pointed out that what Nick Fuentes has been doing for the last 5 days is making the right look really, really bad. So he's probably still acting as like,
Yeah.
an agent of the left.
We'll only know for sure what's going on until once Trump's actually been inaugurated.
Hmm.
Because if by that point Nick is still like this, then the idea that he's being blackmailed into having to do this is not correct.
Hmm.
So, my personal guess is that, yeah, I don't think he's being blackmailed. I think he's just shit.
Hmm. Well, right after the election, he coined the phrase "your body, my choice," which
Right,
is obviously very, very triggering to a lot of people because it's meant to be. It's like, a shock jock statement.
right.
It's designed to be outrageous and therefore funny. But obviously, him parading a statement like that around makes the right look really, really bad. So there's, I guess, some belief that he's still acting as a paid operative of the Democrat Party.
Right.
I do think that "your body, my choice" is a hilarious slogan. Don't get me wrong. And that shit you were telling me yesterday was hilarious, Snacks, about,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's obviously very inflammatory.
Right. Yeah. I was really flummoxed as to why that fucking guy was, I was talking about it a ton. I'm like, dude, why? Why is this guy like this? Why are people like this? Well, from reading the comments that got continued to be posted, um, on that article, it explained it to me. Now, remember, I told you the subject matter of what this guy writes.
Yeah.
Apparently, the vast majority of his reader base, especially those who are his patrons, who actually subscribe and pay him money to write this stuff, and it's the vast majority. We're talking like a 75-25 split here.
Mm-hmm.
Of his reader base are women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hilarious. But that's why he said that, was because he's basically preaching to the choir.
Right.
And man, a lot of things clicked at that point, but I'm like, oh my god, these women are out of control.
Mm. So that guy's reader base is mostly women, and the reader
Mhm.
base for my Masato post is mostly men. This is very backwards. This doesn't make any sense.
Oh man.
I wish you were gay.
I hope that the Trump victory brings a comeback to RGC Comics.
Mhm. Man,
Our hero has returned.
the man,
That'd be amazing.
the WikiFeet people are counting down the days to when Kai Trump turns 18.
That is horrifying. Oh man, going in the crystals.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence that Nick Fuentes is actually gay, but I don't know how credible it is because I didn't track that story very much. Yeah, see, right guy, I told you that Washington was always going to be a little to the left of Oregon. I told you that if like there was any hope of any state on the West Coast going red, it would have been Oregon. And now I that may be turning because California's population is going down so much. But I think these states are going to be gone forever, basically. Like, I think Washington's gone for a generation at minimum. Is that? Hmm. Yeah, I heard the show was good, JS, but I didn't like the Batman movie that much, so I don't know if I would like it. Well, what's the bluest state by margin in the country right now? Because I know the reddest is West Virginia. Like, and I'm not counting DC, of course. Like, DC doesn't count. But like, what is the bluest state? The reddest state is, I'm pretty sure, West Virginia.
I would want to say, without having looked at it yet, Vermont, but I'm looking at it right now. It may be Vermont. Looking at it, Kamala Harris 64%, Trump 33%. So a 31-point win in Vermont.
Let me see here.
She only won California by 20 points and 2.5 million votes. Wow.
Yeah, she won Hawaii
That's
by 23, so it's not that.
way closer. Yeah, I think it's Vermont.
I think you might be right. And okay, the reddest state's Wyoming. Wyoming actually went to Trump by 46%.
Yeah, West Virginia right behind. And this is something important to consider because a lot of people have been praising Oklahoma because every county voted for Trump in Oklahoma.
Hmm.
So did West Virginia. So I don't know why only Oklahoma's getting that credit.
I think Oklahoma was unexpected. They thought that Oklahoma, I can't remember the name of the county, but the one with um, um, what is it, Tulsa, or is it just Oklahoma City? I forget.
Well, I know Tulsa's the city, but I don't know anything about Oklahoma's counties. What about it? What do you?
I think there was one county they expected to go blue because it had a big city. I can't remember if it was
Oh,
Tulsa or OKC.
um, probably OKC because Oklahoma City is the biggest city
Hmm.
in Oklahoma, of course. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, with a mansion off the ballot, it makes sense that West Virginia would become even more Republican than it already is. He was probably pulling people a little bit. And yeah, I like with all the comments that the Democrat power brokers are making, you can easily tell that the theory that Biden endorsed Kamala right after dropping out was an FU to the Democrats. Like based on Pelosi's comments, it's become very clear that that had to be the case. Because that sounds like something you make up as a meme to discredit the party you don't like, but to know that it actually happened is hysterical, and I love
Hold
it.
on, I missed what you said. I was focusing on something else. What'd you say?
No, I was just talking about how, after hearing what a lot of the Democrat power brokers have been saying over the last 5 days, it's become very clear that Biden's endorsement of Kamala right after he dropped out was an FU to the Democrats that
Yes,
they didn't want him to do, and he did it because he was pissed.
yes, yes.
Like, that's so cool that that seems like it's becoming very hard to argue that it wasn't the case. Like,
Right.
goddamn. Do you think Biden voted for Trump? I mean, isn't.
I personally do because Jack Poso, who's been really accurate over the last couple of months with his White House leaks,
Mm-hmm.
is saying that it's believed by White House staffers that both Bidens voted for Trump, and there was a picture of Jill Biden taken on election day. Remember, it's on election day. Her entire outfit, every article of clothing she was wearing, was red.
I wonder if there's any way to confirm this officially. Like, if there's ever a way to go back into the records to see who somebody voted for. Probably not, but that would be so fucking spicy.
Yeah, be right back.
Well, Scarecrow, that's mostly because the Steelers don't need him to actually do anything. He just hands the ball off a lot, pushes the ball downfield to keep the defense back a couple times a game, and let George Pickens make crazy plays. The Steelers have built a team where the quarterback doesn't really have to do all that much, which is evidenced by the fact that Justin fucking Fields went 4-2 with that team. So, wish I could say the same for teams that I root for, but no, teams I root for right now are built for the quarterback to have to do everything.
Yeah. I gotta say, the way that I'm seeing some teams excelling and the way that offense is changing, I feel like teams that in the last year paid their quarterback a shitload of money are going to be the biggest losers in the league pretty soon. And believe me, I'm well aware that Miami is included in this list because there's going to be all the concern about quarterbacks getting paid so much and teams not being able to compete, but it's also like look at the way that offenses are changing where everyone's running the two high safeties now, so running backs are just feasting.
Mm-hmm.
So the quarterback isn't even like the most important part of the offense right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got all these different teams that even though they've got good quarterbacks and they've had great quarterback play, they haven't needed it in order to be incredible, like the Lions and the Chiefs. And in the case of the Steelers, like you said, they were balling out with Justin Fields as their quarterback. And then they decided, what the hell? Let's let Russell Wilson do it. And he hasn't been bad, I don't think.
No, he has not been
But
bad.
right, but he's not like putting the team on his back, like it's very obviously the Steelers are a good team and they would be a good team uh even if they
They had a
were
bad
using
quarterback,
like
which, I mean, because
right
Fields is a
right
bad quarterback. We have an example of this.
right, you've got that. I was going to sit there and say I think they'd be fine even if they were running the third stringer.
Mm-hmm. 90% almost.
Yeah, I said it to you yesterday and I really feel like it's true. I think that there's a really good chance Kamala Harris found out when she was young that she's actually barren and can't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So she just decided to become a prostitute and whore herself out for political gain for the rest of her life. Because, like, she didn't get married until she was 50. So, never had any children of her own.
You know, we still need to find out about all those school shooters that Walls is friends with.
You're right. Tell him that this is his only chance to get a pardon. I'm so convinced that guy's a diddler.
Mm-hmm.
You don't form a gay straight alliance at a high school in the 90s if you're not gay. In 90s back then, they thought that if you shook a gay person's hand, you could get AIDS. Why would you start a gay straight alliance club at your high school? Shrek doll. Michigan by 1.4. You won Wisconsin by 0.9, which ended up being 30,000 votes. You'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania by 3%. Pennsylvania wasn't nowhere near as close as Michigan and Wisconsin. Holy fuck. Also, people thought Michigan was going to be closer than Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think that it really was the Muslim voters just abandoning Harris, which is something that we've talked about. But there's a Muslim majority city in Michigan that swung right by like 60 points, and Kamala finished
Nice.
third place in that city behind Jill Stein.
Based.
It's so weird that the Muslim community would just pick now to revolt and do it all at the same time, basically.
Well, it's part of the growing, because like this is what's happening. You know, is as the coalition is fracturing here that they've created. A lot of it's because every single one of them wants to be the most important member of the coalition,
Mm-hmm.
but there can be only one. This was inevitable. They're reaping the rewards for that right now. Arizona, for some inexplicable fucking reason, took a week for them to call, even though Trump won it by 5%. They called Pennsylvania the fucking day of.
Mm-hmm.
And he won it by 3. So, like, what in the fuck?
Yeah, that one was goofy. I don't really know what to say about that, but I mean, he won Arizona by, I think, almost as much as Romney won it by. And obviously, he didn't win it by as much as McCain. But, like, Arizona, you can't even really call it a true swing state anymore, I feel like. I feel like it's got to be tilt-R.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I think it just kind of snapped back to where it was before. So, I think that's like almost a luxury swing state at this point. It's like a swing state that you're not even really thinking about initially because you got to find a way to get the Rust Belt back.
Right. Like, North Carolina is considered, the battleground swing state.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first swing state to be called during the election, and it was like because it was very very obvious that Trump was going to win there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, final count, they got him. He won it by 3%, and again, Arizona's at 5. So like, what the fuck?
Right.
Nevada's at 4%. What a mess. Trump won Idaho by bigger margins than Kamala won Vermont by. And Idaho's like middle of the road in terms of right wing dominance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Blown the fuck out. Just got vaporized. So that picture of Kamala with the 2 kids, I don't even know who the kids are. Like, I think they're too young to be her actual daughters, but I don't think she's a grandparent yet.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
think she
know.
is either. It's probably just some random black kids they found when they were trying to put together the photo op.
Based. Anyway, people like all over the Western world are sharing this photo, like, oh my god, blah, 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 blah.
There you
But
go.
hardly any of them even noticed the fucking wine glass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's blowing people's minds. They're like, oh wow, that actually looks terrible. And it's all like, she's a drunk. We told you. Very amusing.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I gotta ask Moogle for this tomorrow. I want to see how Skull reacted because I didn't see him in any of the screenshots.
He's hanging in his fucking closet. Oh man, it's a shame that every single one of those guys has gone off the deep end.
Chet's out for 2.5 months. That sucks.
Oh wow, yeah, that does suck.
Very nice. Oh, I can't interact with the tablet at all, so I'm gonna have to Alt F4 and then go back in.
All right,
So you may want to leave first just in case it does anything weird to your session.
all right, just a moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so we did Santa's workshop, right?
Yes, we did that when it came out. Then the cruise ship Sun Deck is the summer thing, so now we have the Halloween house is the new one.
All right. I guess I'm
The
gonna
seasonal
have
specialist.
to download it.
Okay. So this is pretty funny right here. Razor Fist doing his own victory lap.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, this guy had posted that because Razor made a tweet. It was with the polls showing Kamala lost the optics war in last night's debate. Something I argued live on my own stream. I wish I could say this was the first time the right had hypnotized themselves into black pilling needlessly, but honestly, it's not even the first time this year. So then a guy comes in and he goes, "That's wild, bro. Anyway, here's 3 polls asking viewers who won the debate." And then he posted that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I don't understand though. She won the debate, guys.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments from like professional debate watchers and political experts or whatever. And a lot of what they said was like, well, according to our polling, Kamala won the debate, but Trump did a better job of convincing independents to vote for him. And it's like, then how did she win the debate? Isn't that like 90% of your job in a fucking debate? Convince independents to vote for you?
Right.
Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Anyway, you should be able to enter anytime. I'm surprised Bill Burr was actually allowed to do that monologue, and that he's not getting people aren't freaking out about him today. It seems like he just kind of happened and he got away with it, and that's it.
Yeah. So just to underscore how crazy things are right now,
Mm-hmm.
keep this in mind. Kamala won Virginia by 200,000 votes. She won Illinois by 400,000 votes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even with Chicago in there, only 400,000 votes more,
Mm-hmm.
and Virginia's so close. And then in New Jersey, she only won by 200,000 votes.
Yeah, Jersey's the one I think to go after. Something clearly happened there that defies a national shift.
It is bonkers.
Shitting your pants is the latest symbol of resistance against Trump in America.
Oh man.
Setting yourself on fire on the White House lawn is the latest symbol of resistance in Trump's America.
Oh man, that would be so based.
Google, why did Joe Biden drop out? As it turns out, the search came from Joe Biden's computer.
Uh, that's pretty good. You do not own the. I have to fucking download the fucking thing too. I didn't realize I had to do a separate download.
Mine downloaded in about 20 seconds, so there's not much to it.
Just didn't realize I'd have to go do that.
With non-stop ass rape? The federal judge has canceled all of Trump's court dates for the 2020 election interference case.
I don't know why he'd cancel it all.
Because obviously nothing's going to happen because he's the president. So why even waste the time?
Well, just to make it a matter of public record and a court of law that they cheated. Okay. So I clicked download on the store page, and it immediately launched the game. That's weird.
It should download very quickly, though, and then you won't have to restart in order to get it to work. At least I didn't, so.
It's downloading now.
You know, the amusing thing is, famously, as I'm sure you know, Michael Moore predicted that Trump was going to win in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically predicted that Trump would win in 2020. He didn't actually do it, but he basically did. And this time he kept saying that, oh, Trump is going to get crushed. So I don't know if he thought he had his finger on the pulse of like rural America, the Midwest, but if he thought he did, he does not.
My belief for why it happened the way that it did, he believed that that Trump was going to lose, is because, like you said, he predicted that Trump was going to win in 2020, and he was wrong because he didn't think that they would cheat. He wasn't aware that they were going to do that. So his mindset was, well, if they cheated last time, they'll just do it again because like they're actually in charge this time. Why wouldn't they? And that's the mindset that a lot of people had. so I can't really blame him for thinking that. But the point is, he was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not. I wouldn't be terribly happy about things right now, Austin. Did he get hurt tonight against the Warriors, or did he get hurt in a previous game? Oh, you're talking about Alan Lichtman, Scarecrow Bar. I know who you're talking about. And the thing about Alan Lichtman is maybe once upon a time he would have been good at this, but he has severe TDS, like really bad. So he wouldn't be able to apply his own keys rationally anyway. And again, like so much of this, and I think Snacks can back me up a little bit here on this one. People who make a lot of money who insist that the economy is great, even when 67% of Americans think the economy's bad. Like, is it a shared delusion between literally tens of millions of people, if not hundreds? Or maybe there's some element of the economy that you're not thinking about that is actually affecting them, but it doesn't affect you.
Right. Yeah. I've definitely got to agree because it's just like you said. There are a ton of people who think that the economy as a whole is amazing because they personally are doing very, very well. And that's extremely disingenuous because a lot of people are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But then they sit there and they say, well, the economy's obviously great. My stock portfolio's never done better. And it's like, bro, the stock market is not the economy. And you being a fucking 70-year-old boomer who's just tickled pink that your fucking stock portfolio took off like a rocket does not mean that people are not struggling to afford groceries.
And the keys are stupid anyway because they're too subjective. Like, does the challenger have charisma? And then Alan Lichtman had the audacity to suggest that Trump doesn't have charisma, which is great evidence of how pointless the keys are anyway. If we can't even agree on whether or not Donald Trump has charisma, then we got nothing to talk about. Were you able to load in fine, by the way?
Yes, and I had been participating, but
Okay,
I'm also doing some
I see
other
you.
stuff right now. I was all tabbed.
I got you.
Hmm.
Hmm.
After this week of games, I wanted to ask you, Joker,
Okay.
what game that was played this week do you think was the absolute fucking stupidest? Like, you got through watching that and you were like, man, I wish I had that time of my life back.
You mean in NFL this week?
Yes, yes.
Well, I don't watch every game, but if you're saying of the, I mean, it would have been the London game if I had gotten up to watch it, but I slept through it.
Right, but of the games that you watched, yeah.
Uh, Titans, Chargers, probably.
Yeah, I'm super pissed about that one too, because the Chargers somehow managed to reverse choke where they somehow won when they had every fucking right to
Mm-hmm.
lose that game. And I'm like, God damn it, because if the Titans won, it would have been great for Miami's draft pick.
Right.
But if everybody's still creaming themselves over drafting quarterbacks, I think as long as we pick the top five, we're good.
Mm-hmm. It's This is going to be a shitty QB draft, though. I think I don't like these quarterbacks very much.
Well, every team that has a pick that looks like it's getting in the top five is stupid enough to where they'd fucking do it anyway. Like
Yeah.
the Titans are like, okay, it's time to give up on Will Levis. Let's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they got the first pick, they might actually sit there and be like, fuck it, Cam Ward, we ball.
Mm-hmm. I'll be right
Will
back.
Levis is a natural backup. Yeah, no
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Be right back. Right, I'm back. Welcome back.
Villain arc. Finding Twitter threads of people talking about horrible things that happened to them and then going into the comments and then posting the Jonathan Frakes It Never Happened video. Oh, man. We made it up. Not this time. To be fair, all the guys in the NBAB Discord
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been surprised by the outcome of the election if they just watched Smiling Friends.
Mm-hmm. Very true. You know, I still haven't seen the Young Turks meltdown from election night this time. I'll probably find my way to that one in the next few months.
Same. I want to watch Beyond Belief now. I love this meme too much. Oh, neat. It's on Amazon Prime Video. Cool.
Also, I believe that in every swing state, Kamala's margin of defeat was bigger than Jill Stein's vote total. So that's another thing they can't
Base.
even get mad about this time. Third party voters. They didn't matter at all.
Yeah, but I mean, what happens if you add Jill Stein's vote totals with RFK's vote totals?
I don't know if it gets there or not. In either way, like if you are a Democrat, you did not want the RFK voters to have to choose between one of the two main party guys, right?
Right. Right.
Like that
I'm
would have
just
gone
going
very
with
poorly for you.
yes. I'm just going with the cope.
Hmm.
RFK did valuable work this election. You love to see it.
It was actually a well below average election for third party vote presence. Like in 2016, there was a massive third party presence, and even 2020 was a little above average. This time, I'm pretty sure it was less than 1%. And apparently, some people on the NFL board Discord fell for the meme about how, oh, it's an all time record for early votes, and that's going to be good for Democrats.
Oh
Because
no.
conventionally, yes, that's true, but it's not true when all the new early voters are Republicans.
Yes. That God. These guys really fucking like man.
Like you have to like check your sources next time because your sources are full of shit.
Yeah. They should have been listening to Nate Crystal.
Yeah, actually, Nate Silver would have actually had them on the right path at least. And apparently, if you go back to right after the debate, Chris was anti replacing Biden. And then after Kamala went in, he was like, oh, she's such a terrible fucking candidate. And then after a couple weeks, he was talking about how great she was. So, you know.
Yeah. He got his marching orders. He needed to get on board.
Hmm.
Oh man. You know, there's one glaring omission here that we haven't discussed. What was their reaction to July 13th?
I didn't look.
That's what I got to see. The reason that I say that is because if we're seeing this level of colossal gigacope out of them in terms of the other shit, I feel it's almost a guarantee at this point that they're probably Trump shooting truthers
Hmm.
at this point.
Apparently, the public campaign to make Rick Scott Senate Majority Leader is actually affecting the race, and some senators are starting to join in. So it's actually working, which is a good sign that this stuff even reaches the right channels to have influence like this. Even if it doesn't work out, it's a good sign that at least we have some ability to impact things, you know?
Yeah, because like I'm like 99% convinced at this point that Twitter says something, and Barron sees it, and then he floats into Trump's room and he's like, "Father," his voice echoing with the force of 1,000 suns. Put down your crystals for a moment. I must tell you.
Hmm.
The people want Rick Scott, Father,
Hmm.
and it shall be done, Baron. No, Mr. Trump, let me out. I told you 10,000 solar cycles.
Yeah, it's Vermont, right, guy? We were looking at it earlier. It's Vermont.
You know what? Holy fuck! I hadn't even thought about it. The state that Kamala had the largest win by.
Well, DC, right?
Vermont. Well, state. So Vermont.
Hmm. Right.
Vermont's full of white people.
Mm.
There's almost no non-white people in the entire state of Vermont.
Mm. Isn't that also the case for most New England states, though, like New Hampshire and shit?
Yes, and those are the states where she has her largest vote totals. Then you look at Illinois. Even though she wins, it's damn close. Relative to the fact that it's practically a safe blue state. You know, up to California, which should have been an absolute blowout because it was in 2016 and 2020. And then the idea that she's only winning by 2.5 million votes, it's like, bro, literally, if you just San Francisco, that's it.
Hmm.
California is a red state. Yeah, that's my whole point. Is that the states where she had her largest vote totals are New England states where there's hardly any minorities living in the state at all. But the blue states where she damn near had it flipped are all states with large minority populations.
Right. Ultimately, I think she went down with everybody except for, I think, I want to say Jewish women. Like, for whatever reason, Jews swung really hard to the left this cycle.
Yeah, tells you a lot. And it's actually really funny the Jews went that hard left this cycle
Hmm.
And yet the people who think that Trump and Elon somehow managed to cheat to win to steal this election,
Mm-hmm.
that they think that he worked with Netanyahu in order to do it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it's just a lot of Jews that don't necessarily have Israeli pride and don't really care about or even want Israel to lose that conflict?
When it comes down to it, they always cape up for the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
They may say that, stuff that Israel is doing is wrong, but I think it's just another aspect of subversion where, maybe it's not always a coordinated thing, but it's practically instinctual, like there's some breeds of dog you never have to train them to engage in herding behavior because it's literally what they were bred for and they do it instinctually
Mm-hmm.
to the point where you never trained them to do it even once and they're like 15 months old. And yet if you have a large backyard cookout, they'll be running around everybody and just instinctually start trying to herd people.
Yeah, yeah. When me and my brother were very young, our grandparents had a Shetland sheepdog, and he would try to herd my brother around the backyard sometimes when he
Yeah,
would be walking around.
yeah,
So we've seen that for sure.
right. Exactly. Perfect example. So, it's like it's just an instinctual thing, It doesn't have to be part of some grand conspiracy, but you're just like, well, I am Jewish, therefore I must. You can't help it. Yeah. Now, from what I've read, Trump overwhelmingly won Hasidic Jews, which is the very, very ultra Orthodox
Right.
that
I have
wear the
not
really
seen
weird
that.
looking funny fur hats. But that's the only Jewish group that he won. Every other Jewish group, because the vast majority of American Jews are actually not religious. The Jewish identity is just an ethnic one, and that's where all these kinds of problems come in.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 second, guys. I need to refill my water bottle. Be right back.
Mhm. Wahoo.
Okay, back. Hmm. But as it turns out, according to rough exit polling, Jews only made up about 2% of the electorate, which means that they're
Yeah,
actually right where they should be in terms of population, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Hmm.
You know another thing about the NBAB crew?
What?
If they never banned Bond, he'd have been able to tell them this was going to happen. He was a prophet.
Yeah, poor Bond.
But you know, at the end of the day, this whole thing is why I left that Discord server. Because I got so fucking sick of the non-stop fucking slop conversations about politics, when all it ever was about how much they hated Trump, and I was like, Jesus Christ, guys, really?
Hmm.
Just got exhausting. And look where it got them. They're all like on the verge of roping.
A Discord server, right guy. I don't know and I don't care, right guy.
Well,
Because
now I have to ask. What happened?
I guess our new governor elect is planning to implement a hate speech hotline.
Oh God.
And I said, I don't care. And what I was about to say, the reason why I don't care is people are going to troll it so much that there's no way it's going to stay open for more than a few days. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. And I was just about to say, because I'm remembering some of my favorite shit from when America was trolling the fucking some city in England, their police reporting department,
Hmm.
because they were arresting people for making social media posts. So a bunch of Americans did they IP banned the entire United States.
Hmm.
And it was shit like, "Hello, officer, you have to help me." "Yes, sir, we can help you. What is it? What happened?" "My neighbor." "What about your neighbor?" "He's Albanian. Please help." "Well, what did he do that was wrong?" "He's from Albania." "Help me." Oh, you love to see it. So yeah, I would do the exact same thing. "Hello, thank you for calling the hate speech reporting hotline. What's wrong?" "My neighbor's Albanian."
Star, please do not redeem.
Do not redeem, Char. Oh man, remember when a bunch of Indians fucking shitting all over each other in the command room of that ship crashed into the bridge in Baltimore?
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff, man.
I still need to see the post-election Razor video, actually. I haven't checked it out yet.
I enjoyed it.
Hmm. What if Trump does repeal the 22nd or whatever so he can run again, and then it's Bill Clinton who tries to run against him for a third term instead of Obama? The
That
meme is that it's going to be Obama, but
that would be so goddamn funny.
mhm.
Oh man. That debate would be awesome because it would literally just be like they'd both just constantly be agreeing with each other.
Mhm.
Because they'd be like, President Trump, let me ask you this question. He's all like, I'm not going to answer that question. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how much I hate Hillary. And Bill's just like, yeah, I hate her too. It's just like, you know what, President Trump, everything you just said is completely correct. Yeah. Be the most crooked election of all time because they'd sit there and be like, you know what, we're each other's vice presidential candidate pick.
I mean, honestly, I know people keep making it a thing that he's going to repeal the 22nd Amendment, but I really don't even think that should be something that's really thought about because the air got set up so perfectly. It would be silly for him to even think about trying to get a third term.
Not only that, but I mean, the only times he's ever actually mentioned that is just when he's memeing.
Hmm.
And the extent of it is he's not sitting there like, I should be president for life. It's, I should get a third term because they fucked with my first term so much
Hmm.
that I didn't even really get a fair term. Which is itself him just making a joke.
Hmm. Right. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, if he's going to repeal any amendment, um, I think the one he would most likely repeal, I almost feel like the income tax is actually an amendment. Let me check. He's going to repeal the 21st Amendment. The 21st Amendment repealed the 18th Amendment. The 18th Amendment was prohibition. He's going to repeal the repeal of prohibition. Let's go. Wikipedia article for President-elect of the United States of America. You get to see Donald Trump's picture. It's a classic, but I just shared that one again. I'm just really glad. Post from Insane Cope, and I love this account. MFs will complain that no women want to be housewives while ignoring the hundreds of trans girls who want exactly that. Oh, I got booted. It said connection to the network has been lost. I'll rejoin.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's got to be the easiest job in the world. Just sit there and be like, oh, I want to be a housewife so badly. Well, I guess I'm trans now.
Who wouldn't want to be a housewife?
Oh my god. Oh man. The comments to that poster is so fucking funny. This, oh man, you have to read some of the replies to this post because this is this is a top response to the insane coat post. Read the comments that people have to that one because it's so fucking funny. Oh man, that is funny.
Oh, wow. Washoe County, which is where Reno is in Nevada, 95% of the vote is in, and Trump is ahead in this county by exactly 210 votes. That could
Nice.
end up being a county decided by like literally 5 votes. We'll see.
Oh man, that's awesome. Anyway, I put it in the wrong channel, but thankfully Unreal saw it and he thought it was funny. But I and DM'd you directly also.
Mm. Oh God. That's disgusting to think about, man.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But read the fucking comments, dude. They're really funny. But he brings up a hilarious point, but all the comments are like, you could have said all sorts of other stuff about why trans women aren't actually women, but this is the direction that you went in first. Oh man.
What made them think prohibition was actually a good idea, I wonder? When you think about it, that really is an underrated all
Oh,
time fuck up.
well, I can actually explain that one really easily.
Mm-hmm.
Prohibition was extremely popular of an idea with women in this country,
Mm-hmm.
and women getting the right to vote was a very major concern in the country at the time of prohibition being enacted. So they thought that the thing with prohibition is that they would see how popular it was amongst women to see. It was sort of like a dry run to see what kind of political power they would actually bring to the table if they had the right to vote, and it was substantial. So politicians fell over themselves to pass prohibition to ingratiate themselves towards the next generation of voters, which is going to be women.
Hmm.
But it caused so much more harm than good that they almost immediately realized, wow, this was a horrific fuck up. We need to change this very, very fast. So they did.
Mm-hmm.
But they should have also realized that letting women vote was a horrendous fuck up, and they need to change that really, really fast. But they did not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just women. Women ruined everything there.
What's the most recent amendment on the books?
The last one, the 27th Amendment, which was passed in 1992. This is a very strange one because remember, it's a constitutional amendment,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems really weird. It is the synopsis of the amendment is delays laws affecting congressional salary from taking effect until after the next election of representatives.
Interesting.
The actual text of the amendment is no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. It was originally proposed as a part of the Bill of Rights in 1789, but it was they decided to scrap it in the process of refining the Bill of Rights down to what it would eventually become. But in 1992, interest was 1982. Gregory Watson, a 19-year-old student at the University of Texas, wrote a paper for a government class in which he claimed that the amendment could still be ratified. Later launched a nationwide campaign to complete its ratification. The amendment eventually became part of the U.S. Constitution effective May 5, 1992, completing a record-setting ratification period of 202 years, 7 months, and 10 days, beating the previous record set by the 22nd Amendment of 3 years and 343 days. The idea behind this amendment is to reduce corruption in the legislative branch by requiring an election before a congressperson's salary increase takes effect. The public can thus remove members of Congress from office before their salaries increase. It is unclear whether the amendment produced any change in congressional behavior. So it's like this upcoming Congress, which will serve until 2027, because they get inaugurated in 25 in a couple months. They could sit there and say we're gonna make it so that the salary of each congressperson is $1 billion a year,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do that, but because of the amendment, it's not going to take effect until after the term is up.
I mean, that certainly makes sense. I'm surprised it required a constitutional amendment, though.
Yeah. So they're going to sit there and say, okay, well, you want it to be $1 billion. Now the people are going to have to vote on whether or not they want to keep you there. Then they're going to be like, no, I'm going to get rid of this fucking idiot. So it's like, all right, well, I'm sure future generations of Congress people are going to be very happy that just decided to give them $1 billion, but you ain't getting a dime of that.
So that means we have not seen a constitutional amendment in 32 years. I wonder what the 28th could be. Like, maybe something to do with Congress people not being able to trade stocks or something.
That would be awesome.
That'd be an interesting one.
To be entirely honest, I do think that it is more likely that the next amendment would be repealing a previous amendment instead of adding something new. Because the odds of anything new being added seems extremely slim, but people all the time just constantly talk about how we need to repeal whatever amendment.
True. All right. I guess that's something you just don't think about very much, but there have only been 27 in the history of this country, and one of them has to do with how congressmen get paid.
Yeah, and then there's another two that are tied up in prohibition and its repeal.
Mm-hmm.
Before the 27th, which was the most recent one, the 26th Amendment was passed in 1971, and it lowered the voting age to 18.
Now that is a weighty one.
Yeah.
See, that's one that has had massive ramifications.
Bigly. I wonder what would happen if you took, like, all the different simps out there and
Mm-hmm.
told them that if they created a movement to repeal the 13th Amendment,
Mm-hmm.
which abolished slavery, it'd be like, now look, a lot of folks are just thinking about slavery in terms of, the slavery that we had in the early history of this country, having people do the farm work. But what you're not realizing, Simps, is that if we repealed the 13th Amendment, you could just buy a girlfriend. If you already spend, like most of your salary on OnlyFans, wouldn't that be more financially feasible?
I mean, that's the best sales pitch you could probably come up with.
Exactly.
I don't know if it would work, but, that's putting your best effort.
Have a little faith. For that one, what's his name? That one movie that had Daniel Day-Lewis in it, where he drank the milkshake.
Oh, There Will Be Blood.
And I thought that was My Left Foot.
No.
Remember when he drank the milkshake? Oscar Gold. I gotta say, the most confusing part about that scene is that I didn't think milkshakes had been invented by that point. How did he know what they were?
Oh, Jesus Christ. So Mark Cuban has scrubbed every single tweet he ever made about Kamala Harris from his Twitter account. If
Oh, wow.
he is trying to make the world forget that he was advocating for her.
I really like that because I was telling people, a few days before the election, I'm like, if Trump was going to lose, Mark Cuban wouldn't be kissing his ass, begging him to be part of the upcoming administration before the election even fucking happens. And then this shit happens. It's like, no, Marky boy, we're not going to forget.
Mhm.
We're not going to forget. Sorry. jerk.
Apparently, Mark Cuban still has an apartment in Trump Tower. Nobody ever seems to ask him about that.
I gotta say, I would feel extremely uncomfortable if I was someone who lived in Trump Tower,
Mm-hmm.
because you just know they would never leave you alone. Just all the different fucking whales that waddle up to the place so that they can take a picture of their morbidly obese middle finger. They'd be like, I can't believe you live in a building that is owned by a fascist.
Well, he doesn't own the tower anymore. He's the president. He can't own businesses anymore, so...
Right. Well, you could say that, or what you could also say is that one tweet where he says, get a job,
Yeah.
and then another word.
Are you a homosexual?
Yeah. Like, in 2016, Hillary lost those 3 swing states by less than 1%. I think Michigan she lost by less than 1/4%. So that really highlights how much worse Kamala did, because she lost those states by outside the margin of recount. Hillary actually
Yeah.
got some recounts done in those swing states. Obviously, it was still too big of a gap, but she was at least able to legally request it because it was close enough. Kamala couldn't even do that if she wanted to.
Yeah. She truly got blown the fuck out.
So, I guess a couple of weeks ago, Trump was at one of his rallies and he said something akin to, like, I've already got the votes.
Yeah.
And now people on X are trying to use that as proof that he cheated because he said, I've already got the votes 2 weeks before Election Day.
Yeah, and it truly is fucking stupid, because it's all like, hey guys, there's this magical fucking thing called internal polling, where the people who are, this is their job to do that. They do a much better poll than the media polls, a much more accurate poll than the media polls. When he says, I've already got the votes, what he means is he knew damn well he was going to sweep every single fucking swing state, which is exactly what ended up happening. And no, he meant that he literally purchased the votes, and Elon had already implanted the computer bug into the Dominion system so that he'd be
I sure
like,
hope
hey, didn't
somebody
we
got
hear?
fired for that blunder.
Exactly. Like, didn't we fucking hear all about how this was the most secure election in the world, and the Dominion voting machines are foolproof, and now they're like, oh well, everything was wrong the whole time. What a crock of shit.
Let's see here.
I love that in Deus Ex. And Denton fucking shoots the guy. What a shame. Oh my god, daddy. What a rotten way to die. What a fucking psycho. I love it. Oh, man.
Is there such a title as first son or first daughter when you're the son or daughter of the president?
Hmm.
I feel like I've never heard the term first son.
I feel like I've never heard that phrase either. Especially because it would remind people way too much of Augustus Caesar, which would just be super over the top in terms of Baron, because Augustus never called himself emperor. He never called himself king. He never called himself anything like that. What he called himself was the first citizen.
Well, Baron wouldn't be the first son. It would be either Eric or Don Jr.
Well, I just meant in the sense of like, because when he was living in the White House, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's the first son, even though he's not literally the first son. And I think Don Jr.'s the older one, but let me check here. Because they call it, and on the whole, the first family.
Right.
That's a good point. I wonder what Baron Trump's Secret Service code name was.
Yeah, that's probably something you don't ever really find out about, though. I imagine they keep that stuff secret, especially if it might be in any way derogatory or overly playful.
We don't have barons, but we have a number of folks. The code name for President Trump was Mogul.
Hmm.
The code name for Melania was Muse. The code name for Don Jr. was Mountaineer. Code name for Ivanka was Marvel. Code name for Eric was Marksman. And the code name for Jared Kushner was Mechanic.
Hmm.
We don't have Baron, which is sad. That's just on Wikipedia, though.
But yeah, in the NBAB, I'm sorry, in the NFL Discord server, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, the NFLB, they were even kind of making fun of Ham, even though he was in the other Discord, because what the shit he was saying was like leaking over to them, and even they couldn't help but kind of make fun of it a little bit.
That's pretty funny.
Like, and I guess Rabbit and Ham fucking hate each other,
That makes
so
sense.
they're not in the same Discords, but Rabbit knows who that is from back in the day when Ham cared about the Miami Dolphins.
That makes sense. Is a shame because like we all have the exact same sense of humor. That's how we all became friends in the first place. But then we let politics tear the whole fucking thing apart because some folks just can't handle
Yeah.
people actually wanting their country to be safe and strong.
Yeah, I guess Ham's mom has had a stroke or something, and he now spends most of his time caring for her.
At least he's a good kid.
Hmm.
Sorry to hear that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think his dad is not too far behind, so I guess there's been some shit going on with him.
Well then,
It
that
sucks.
yeah, that explains a lot too. I want to kick him while he's down. So not about Ham, but about others. A lot of what I think the divide is right now politically across the country and across the world too, basically, is just people are asking why they're supposed to be essentially ashamed of wanting what's best for their people. So the political divide just comes down to whether or not you feel that that concern is valid
Hmm.
and whether people should be allowed to even have that concern. And only specifically for white European descendant. So there's lots of people who are like, they're reasonable, and they're like, hey, I'm Latino and proud of that. Why can't some guy be proud he's British or whatever?
Hmm.
And oh no, they destroyed the world and they're evil and they did all the blah 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 blah. And everything kind of just stems from that, you know? Because it's like, hey, I want my country to be strong because it's, you know, something that I take pride in because I am proud of being from here and this being my nation.
Hmm.
Except, oops, I'm European descendant, so I'm not allowed to be, apparently. Super duper stupid.
And everybody in the Discord is so mad about how Trump is going to take credit for Biden's economy.
That is really funny. Because I'm like, I feel reasonably sure that Chris is still working at that grocery store.
I don't think he is. I don't know what he's doing these days, though. I haven't kept up, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't work at the grocery store. What's left?
A lot of little things that hadn't been completely finished.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Because you try to hit tab and you're like, I'm never
Yeah.
going to see it.
Yeah. Oh boy, I can't wait to grab my dong.
Well, it's nice to catch up a little bit
Mm-hmm. Moogle will
and
be able to
see.
say more because he's still in those communities somewhat actively.
Right.
But yeah.
What a shame.
now I've set it up so with like 2 clicks, I can switch Discord accounts, so I can go back and forth between the two at any time.
Nice.
Okay, we just need one more fucking thing.
And the eave is like underneath the
Yeah.
roof. Alright, you know what to look for.
Yeah.
Just trying to find the one.
Aha, I found it.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm gonna need the ladder to actually clean it, maybe. There we go. All right. So that's every power wash map as of right now done. I don't know what the next one's supposed to be. Probably not going to see anything for a while, though, because this Shrek thing came out not that long ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they did a Halloween one. That's the most recent one.
No, okay.
They do themed stuff. They already did a Christmas one last year, so unless they do another Christmas one, which is possible to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll probably see another DLC thing, maybe in like January, February.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and leave whenever you'd like.
All right.
All right. All right. See you guys later.